Don't go and buy another jeans with so many pockets and you have no money to put money. You have no money to put on those pockets. Just hang in on the one that you have, that trouser that you have now. Get that 1,000 shillings. Buy a tree here, split firewood, sell firewood, and make another 1,000, and then increase your business. And by the end of the month, you have made 10,000. Now you can comfortably take from 10,000, 2,000 shillings and go and buy the best jeans you want on earth. If someone gives you 5,000 shillings, young man, today, and you go and buy 3 iron sheets hoping that you will build a cottage, you are one of the most stupid characters the planet Earth has ever had. What are those iron sheets going to do in the house? Are iron sheets going to run away from hardwares? No. What are you supposed to do? Take that 5,000, invest it in business, go get a quarter an acre somewhere, rent a quarter an acre somewhere, and plant your cabbage there. I mean, the levels of poverty that we have, year in, year out, are because of the religious things within our minds. Blessed are the poor in the spirit. More of God. As the man was teaching, yes, you are the Lord, Most High. Yes, you are the Lord, Most High. The kingdom of God is theirs. Then other people, they think they are now praying out of humility. God, many. Forgetting God is a choice. It's not a matter of poverty or riches. It is just because you don't want God. So friends, I'm taking this time to explain to you chapter 11 of the book of Acts exposes the spirit of religion. It exposes a religious spirit. And how, imagine someone tells his daughter, you cannot go and sell sugarcane because sugarcane is a sign that you are what? Poor, and you are bringing disgrace on this family. Excuse me, sugar is made of what? And sometimes someone is saying like that. And I'm telling you, someone who goes to the farm and gets sugarcane and brings it at the gate of Wabukhonyi Secondary School or Wabukhonyi Market and sells, earns more money than the person who planted sugarcane to take to Nzoia or to percent. The thing is that people normally don't calculate. And then the problem is that people don't do business with a target. If you want to succeed in business, you do business with what? A target. There is a brother in our church in Kamkuywa called Bernard. He was doing what they call Kenyarunda. For those of you who don't understand, Kenyarunda is people who are riding bicycles to Mount Elgon to buy what? Maize, cabbage, onions, and all these kinds of things. And then they come and sell them this way. Irish potatoes, and they come and sell them this way. And those people used to pass this road like at about 3 a.m. in a group, because it's a group of people with people from Milo. They leaving to Kaptama to buy those things and come. And these guys, they talk a lot. You know, the problem is that when you put people of the same age in one place, then each one of them demonstrates a child in them. You have seen even members of parliament, how they behave in parliament. If you watch how the members of parliament behave in parliament, you just see totalers in suits. Babies in suits. The only difference that they have with babies in kindergarten is that the babies in kindergarten don't have what? Suits. But you listen to members of parliament and what they say, Anytime you put people of the same age in one place, they become stupid. Have you ever gone to Kinyozi and we have to salon, hair salon, and when the people of the same age sit together, they become so stupid. And so these guys could pass, like sometimes like they are passing and I'm in the church praying. They hear me pray and they make comments. You think you heard from the devil. So that we had one of our brothers in the church who was doing, several of our brothers. I think it was several. It was Bernard. We had who? Protas. We had another one who called Wekesa. We had another one called Protas. They were doing that thing. And Dixon. I think Gabriel. So they were members of the church and doing that. And I called them and I told them, I appreciated them. I told them, you are wonderful people. Because your families don't sleep hungry. But I want you to transit from every day going to the mountain to doing something that will increase even your business the more. So I talked to all of them. And then there is this one called Bernard. He collected all the money and we agreed that by November, I think, he should give up doing 100, 5 little kids. And I called him and I told him, have all that money, get all of that money and there. And I explained to him, to give it to me, he's not going to give it to the church. I told him, this is in your business. And I told him, in the womb, money, someone just looks at it and it's 12,000, but this money has what? A womb in it. This will produce a lot of money. Secure future for your children. It will pay school fees for your children. How much was it, brethren? 12,000. And I prayed and I said, God, as Bernard goes to invest, because now he wanted to do what they call what? Cereals. He wanted to do cereals to bring to long places. Now he gets things from farmers and he sells on the market throughout. And I prayed and I said, God, give him wisdom to multiply this wealth. 12,000 shillings. The man left with his 12,000 shillings, and the following day, he was selling cereals on Kamkuya market. Do you know that this guy, who doesn't know even how to write his own name, this guy who doesn't know to write a name because he never went to school, his wife is class 5, a house and a home that is several millions. If you want, we can walk from here and I take you. It is not far. It is in Kamkuya. There's water in his house. And the man is in college right now. He never went to school. What caused him to prosper? I had to change his mind from just a mind of what they call in America, living by on paycheck. Whatever you receive today is what you do what? You eat, and then you wait. And that is a stupid thing among the young people we have in this society. You can have young people work. I have had young people work for us here in the media department, in other departments of this church. And we give them money. They earn, but you will never see progress in their lives. They spend all the money in buying another phone. A phone is not an investment if you're not using it for business. Seed. That God put in every fruit a seed to remind you that in every harvest there is what? A seed for another what? 20,000. And you spend all the 20,000, I can tell you, you are the most to be pitied. You from that, and all money that you get, you are eating it, you're spending it. My friend, you are the most to be pitied because you will never repair those houses. You will never expand your business. But the houses that people can occupy in 10 years from today. 10 years from today, those houses must be redone. So if you are just eating, my friend, you will never repair them. In every harvest, there is what? A seed to remind you that you need to do what? To invest again. If you want to get out of poverty, that's what you need to do. When I got saved, and I was a minister of the gospel, a young minister, because of the background that I was raised in, I thought that to be a pastor, you must live on the offerings from the church. Add the suit and move around, hoping that money will come from those church members. And I think God was very gracious to me. Do you know what? That God has never sent me to people who are wealthy. God sends me always in places to go and set a church, in places that are almost headquarters of poverty. It really disappoints me. Let me tell you, it disappoints me. For me to have a young man working for me, someone's son, someone's daughter that is working in my organization, and I give him 10,000, I give him 12,000, I give him 20,000, by the end of the year, he has earned this amount of money, and that young man cannot afford anything. There's nothing he can show. Because we have learned to be consumers rather than what? Investors. It's a poverty mentality. Paul says, even though we walk in the flesh, we're pulling down what? Strongholds and every thought that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. Many of our young professionals don't want to do business. But yesterday I was giving these people a testimony of a young man from Kamkuya called Kevin. His daddy died. His daddy was a vet. He died, and the young man graduated from university with I think a bachelor's in IT. He worked with the county government of Bungoma, but then he just went and told his mommy, "Mommy, I'm educated. Our dad has died, and my dad has died and left a lot of wealth, a lot of property that is not developed. I want to come back and develop my father's property." So he sold his father's old tractor and bought a newer one. He sold his father's vehicle that was involved in an accident and put money together and bought a lorry. And then he began to build all the pieces of property that his father had bought on Kamkuya Market. Today, he has just finished building hostels around Matili. The young man is wealthy. You have seen that every time we have helped people who are bereaved, to hire a hearse for them. We hire a hearse from that young man. He owns that funeral service called Amazing Grace. Carpenters around here, good caskets for their people, for their departed ones. He has now set up a very big workshop of making modern caskets on Kamkuya Market. When we were building this place, he's the one who provided most of the stones that are under this building. He's the one who did the transportation for almost everything. He earned hundreds of thousands from us. Where Pastor Iman lives, that house, when we were doing plastering, everything, extension, everything, including my mother's former house, he was the one supplying. He has gotten could be over $1 million from me. This young man. He is earning more money than working for the county government of Bungoma, where he was earning about 25,000. You know, there is something that I almost consider slavery in the minds of our young people. If someone gives them a job with the county government and gives them 25,000, they walk around telling people that you are employed. Why can't you? If I were you, I'll work there for a few days, secure a loan, go and invest, and you can also just employ yourself. Pastor Isaac Mchungi has a child that he supported in high school and primary up to high school. And this boy joins KU and he tells him, "Baba, I don't need you to be sending money for me for survival. I just need a camera, just a simple camera. Just give me a camera." And the young man got a camera. That young man, right now he lives in his own, this houses we call studio. He lives in his own studio. He doesn't live in the hostels with students. He lives in Kahawa. So with his own camera. He doesn't ask for anything from pastor. In fact, pastor says sometimes he just sends him, Daddy, nilitaka nikutumie 3,000 shillings, tumia na mama, you can put fuel in the vehicle. Look at the difference. Someone is in the same college, calling every relative, explaining how they slept what? Hungry. Same college. And this boy is an orphan. This boy is an orphan. He is. Because there is a problem with your head. That is where poverty has residence, is in the mind. The scripture says, as a man thinketh, so he is. Imagine you wake up in the morning, you slept hungry, and you just wake up in the morning and then you just sit. And you now want to make phone calls and please what? Call me and reverse calls to tell people how you slept hungry. Young men that are here, I want each one of you to learn how to do business. Because religious things, I was in that category. I never believed that I could work. I never believed that I could do anything. My spiritual father, the husband to Pastor Pamela Lally, who preached to you the other Sunday, you remember? Her husband, Nick Lally, he confronted me in a tough, very, very serious way. And I realized, and when I went to America and I saw what he does, this guy is a pastor. And what he does is that he goes and buys old vehicles, vintage vehicles. Like he will go and buy Volkswagen Beetle, like even for 21,000, come and rebuild tortoise Volkswagen, and then modernize it, and then put it out for sale. And then you know what? People will buy them. It is people like Fred and Hemston and Michael. What? They buy those vehicles because people will want to be taking photos by that vehicle because it is vintage. It is an old vehicle. Yesterday when I went to school to pick John, one of the parents had come in Volkswagen Beetle. I was so happy. One was yellow or what? One was yellow, and good yellow. Volkswagen Beetle. You know, that is a very interesting vehicle. All vehicles have engines in front. Volkswagen Beetle, the engine is where? In the boot. Or like, for example, I go and get this old Land Rover with an open roof. Land Rover with an open roof. And I make it so nicely. I renovate. That is what Dr. Nick Lally was doing. He renovates that vehicle and sells it to these media guys. You know, these media guys, you eat for the groom after the wedding. After the wedding, you drive in the vintage vehicle with the open roof. How do you feel? Official functions. You know that? A Land Rover that has open. You are a single here who are not married. You have just finished your wedding and we are driving. So I realized Pastor Nick Lally buys those vehicles, rebuilds them. He buys old motorbikes. He rebuilds them, paints them again, and sells them. And the guy makes a lot of money. Imagine he can buy a vehicle at $500 US. He rebuilt $60,000 US. You know what? He bought it at 70,000. Money, and like when he put that vehicle on social media, someone drove all the way from California, because he's from West Virginia, and buy this vehicle at 60,000 US dollars. Then another thing that I saw Pastor Nick Lally doing, he buys old, abandoned houses and homes. He buys houses like those. Buys a home with a house like they call Likubili. And the guy renovates that house, gives it a new roof, changes the inside a little bit, puts new tiles, makes top-notch kitchen out of it, puts washrooms in it. And the guy puts that house that he bought it's possible he bought that house. Let's say, for example, he buys that house at like 20,000 US dollars, which is something like 3 million Kenya shillings. He buys the house at 3 million shillings, sitting on an acre of land, and he renovates that house, and he goes ahead and sells it at something like 60 million. So from that money, he was able to build a television station, and he was able to You can be poor, begin a business now. How can you wake up in the house or at your home, a man, you are strong, and you just sit in the compound waiting for lunch? Waiting for what? For supper. Oh, I retired. But what are you going to give to the next generation? Mindset. It's decided to call me blessings and having prosperity. I remember we had a pastor, them used to be the members of that church. So this pastor, one day he came and he's preaching. Makanisa imekuja. Ya watu wanapenda kuvaa masuti masuti. Bible that I went to Lugulu Girls High School. Girls High School. We have the Gideon's ambassadors there that they get those Bibles. They donate to Legion because they don't like his progress. They don't like her progress. They see that pastor is progressing, so they call him a devil worshiper. The way they have done with Ezekiel in Mombasa. Because he's the youngest minister with the biggest church in the country, 45,000-seater church. And so people, some of the religious leaders, some of the things that this man called Ezekiel went through, being in prison, in police custody, had nothing to do with the government of the Republic of Kenya. It had got everything to do with the religious people who felt this young man is a threat. Every case they leveled against him, did it have any ground? All those cases collapsed. So the whole thing was religious people doing it. It is the reason why people are getting. So you think it is the government, but it's actually some bishops somewhere with the full of the spirit of religion doing all these things. So now let us look at this book of Acts, chapter 11. I want you to see, I have taken time to explain how a spirit of religion can be so dangerous. I want you to look at how it worked. Now listen, Peter had just finished ministry Cornelius, and while Peter was preaching, those of you who remember, while he was preaching, people received what? The Holy Spirit, and they began speaking in other tongues, glorifying God and prophesying. So the word went to people and said, hey, do you know what? Peter went to Christ. So it's like religion. They still eyes of Christ. Who says for God, every Jew. He said whether he's a Jew. And Jesus is commissioned. What did he say? Go ye into all the... Verse chapter 11.